The movie starts and Bond is getting his end away with this air hostess, and the pilot is like, hey, stop doing that. And Bond is like, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Yeah. And they have a tussle, and then Jaws gets the drop on it because there's loads of places for a 7-foot man to hide on this pencil jet. Anyway, don't worry, Bond just sort of wriggles this guy out of his parachute. Problem solved. But then Jaws is in hot pursuit. What are you gonna do, James? You only have infinite directions to move in. Then Jaws breaks his parachute and his stunt double's really upset over it. Anyway, he gets to work, and this version of Moneypenny is old. So yeah, no flirting. And Emmy's like, some guy stole a spaceship and drove it off the back of a 737 mid-flight. And Bond is like, it wasn't me, was it? That sounds like some bullshit I would do. Yeah, it was pretty fucking sweet, to be fair. Anyway, everyone on board was killed, blown into little pieces of teeth and grizzle. So we need you to go to California and find the spaceship. But Q chirps in and is like, oh, I got you this dart gun. And he just shoots M's office with it like a twat. It's very easy to understand why nobody at his work likes him. And Q is like, I got you 10 darts. The green ones are lethal and the yellow ones knock you out. These are red and blue though. Oh. Well, I guess I don't know what any of them do then. Anyway, this lady takes him to go see Drax, the guy who built the rocket that got stolen. And I bet he's definitely not crazy as fuck. Anyway, it turns out Drax is actually Peter Dinklage, but gigantic. And he's like, have you found my rocket yet? Nope. You don't have it, do you? No? Who's been telling you that? Anyway, why don't you shut the fuck up and have a cucumber sandwich? No, thank you. I don't eat anything with cum in it. So he prattles on a bit about how he wants to start civilization again, but in space. And Bond is like, that'll never work. There's no shops. How are you going to buy anything? Anyway, they give him a tour of the rocket building factory and they introduce him to Dr. Goodhead. And he's like, woman. Anyway, after insulting her career choices, he goes straight in trying to bang her. My friends call me Bond, but you can call me James. You're old enough to be my grandfather, and you're old enough to be a bitch. So she shows him the G-Force machine, and she's like, oh, this takes months of specialised astronaut training to use without your brain turning to fucking jelly. And he's like, what part of James Bond don't you understand? Strap me the fuck in. And this random Japanese man is gonna oversee the test, and then he whispers to this guy without moving his lips. Anyway, he sabotages the machine because fuck James Bond, he's had it too good for too long, but it don't work, and he just feels awful. But James Bond sees your guilt, so he goes snooping about and he figures out that Drax is up to no good, and he takes some pictures with his tiny James Bond camera. The next day, he takes Bond pheasant shooting. Here, keep your hands off my bird. My pheasant. Oh. Anyway, do you want to have a go? Nah, not really. Stop being a pussy and shoot some animals. Right, you're gonna wait for the birds to fly up and make sure you shoot above the tree line, because me landscaper Barry's pruning some at trees. And this woman who helped Bond find Drax's plans is ripped apart by dogs, but he don't give a fuck. He's off to Venice to get more women butchered. So Bond goes to this glass factory and they just let him in for a good wander. And Dr. Blowjob is here too, and he's like, hello, were you spying on me? Does the Pope shit in the woods? And after he goes for a paddle down this piss canal, but Drax sent this vampire to try and kill him, but for whatever reason he goes straight for the gondolier instead of Bond. So I can only assume that when they dug him up, they just kind of yelled, kill Bond, through a hole in his coffin, but didn't slide a picture through, some matches, I suppose. And to be fair, they nearly get him as well, but he just drives this boat on land, not for a few feet. He travels several miles this way. And later on, he tries to sneak into this lab. I stepped out for a ciggy, don't know why he's there. And yeah, he just has a good look at this thing, and he don't know what it does, but he's like, fuck it, I'll steal it anyway. But it turns out it's some sort of extremely fucking volatile, dangerous biological super weapon. So he's like, this'll be safe in my shirt pocket. It's not like I'm gonna spend the next 10 minutes jumping head first through glass cabinets. So he's about to go to bed when and he chases him about this glass museum with this piece of flexible bamboo. I'd have probably done this fight with an actual sword instead of safe exercise equipment, but whatever. Anyway, Bond just sort of walks him down, man, and he's not about that, so he runs away. And yeah, the death vial that broke from rolling off a coffee table earlier is somehow intact after jumping through all them fucking glass cabinets. So yeah, he just throws this guy off this really big clock. Problem solved. Meanwhile, Dr. Blowjob is like, oh, I wish a 60-year-old man would just jump out of the darkness and rattle my fillings. And he does. The next day, he brings M to that murder lab he was at last night, but Drax has just changed it into a different room or a different building altogether. Don't you look like a fucking idiot, James? So to get over being humiliated in front of his boss, he goes to these titty islands and he goes to this hotel and he knobs this woman and then Jaws bites her fucking head off, you know, basic stuff. And Bond is about to have round two with him, but Jaws is powerless against the carnival rhythm. The next day he meets Dr. Blowjob on this cable car and Jaws is like, look, I'm just gonna start biting shit because that's my thing, that's what I do. And she's like, why is the cable car stopped? I don't know, just let me have a clamber about and see. Anyway, Jaws climbs up to him and they have a bit of a fight, and I guess this version of Bond, he doesn't carry a gun, ever. Anyway, it's fine, he just kicks him in the fucking throat instead. And then Bond just starts devouring this woman on this hillside, but this guy stoves his head in with an axe handle. Film over. But it turns out he ain't dead, and he falls out of this speeding ambulance, but those stone cobbles broke his fall. Anyway, he dresses up like a cowboy to go see M, because he knows this sort of bullshit winds him up. And M is like, I'm just over this, James. I retire next year, and eventually someone will kill you. So he goes to the jungle because fuck it, why not? And who's driving this boat? You got loads of room there. And he spies this fit woman, and she can run, but she can't glide. But he was staring so hard at her tits, he didn't see the 9-foot tall man. Anyway, it turns out Drax is up to some bullshit, so Bond is like, will you tell me your secret plan, please? Oh, and I killed your pet snake. It made me feel inadequate. And Drax is like, I'm gonna use this super weapon synthesized from this plant to wipe out humanity. And they try to burn Bond using some rocket engines, but he escapes. Then he fucks this guy up and steals his Bruce Lee outfit. Then he steals this rocket, but space boring, man. So they sneak onto Drax's space station, and he wants to wipe out humanity to recreate it, but genetically perfect. So, yeah, nobody breed with him. Anyway, Bond goes into this normal gravity zone, because I guess they saved up a few barrels worth from Earth. And Jaws captures him again, and they give him a little bit of a zap. So now we're in the exact same situation we were in 5 minutes ago, but in space. But then Jaws is like, look, I know I've been trying to kill you for the better part of a decade, but let's team up and start fucking smashing everybody. But the Jaws Bond collective is quickly defeated by these yellow men with cattle prods. Then there's a really shit space fight, and Bond goes after Drax, and he gets shot with a laser, but God is his shield. And Drax is about to blast him, but Bond darts him. But instead of, I don't know, arresting him to stand trial for his crimes, he just blows him out into the vacuum of space, because I guess everything this guy does has to be ironic in some way, and he needs to send one last fuck you to him, so he live streams himself finishing inside this science lady to the entire free world.